Hello, this is Rob Mazak, and I'd like to take a moment to welcome you to the Life by Mazak podcast channel. Here on this channel, anything is possible. Any subject will and usually is discussed, and there's no telling how this message will unfold as we work through an idea, through an experience, or through a thought. These subjects come from the vast amount of information and experience through spirit, through life lessons, and from working with a lot of other people. Scripts are never used on this channel, and the message simply unfolds as the subject is discussed. Follow along and see where it leads us, or more specifically, where it leads me. These podcasts are produced in the hopes of helping others to benefit, to grow, and to excel in their own human experience. At Life by Mazak, we work towards helping you achieve wellness for your mind, your body, and your soul using many specialized services. Services that include psychic medium and tarot readings, quantum healing hypnosis, past life regression, intuitive Reiki healing, life coaching, and many other services. If you enjoyed this podcast, please click the like button and share this with others. Our goal is to reach as many people as we can with the knowledge that is shared on this podcast channel. Good day, everybody. So I have been doing a lot of thinking, I guess. A lot of pondering about life. And I've done a lot of podcasts about this type of thing. I think we all go through cycles in our life where we look at monotony in a lot of ways, the repetition, the automatic things we do every day, and kind of look at our week and realize that by and large we do the same things or very similar things every day in the same way, same patterns, the same people are there at work, the same people in our lives, and it doesn't seem to be a lot of real change. I mean, there's some changes. My job is very fluid in a lot of ways. I work in an emergency operations center or in charge of one. And so, there's a few things that'll surprise you here and there, but primarily we do the same types of missions with the same types of people, same groups of other entities, other companies, organizations. And so, I looked at my life or my week the other day. I'm like, wow, it's almost time to drive back to San Antonio. Where did this week go? And it's like we're just repeating cycles over and over again. And in some ways it feels like, or it felt like, as I was thinking about this, that I was just some cog in a wheel. And of course, like everybody else, we're going to circle back and go, what is my real purpose in life? What am I supposed to be doing? Or what is it that I'm supposed to be doing to make my mark, or to help the world become a better place, or be somebody, or get more money, or do something profound? And I thought about that a lot. And recently, a lot of algorithmic type videos have come up in some of the scrolling I've done when I've gotten to a point in my day where life is just not so much fun, very stressful. Sometimes you got to just kind of unwind. Anyway, my algorithms have been taking me to a lot of videos that talk about these types of things. And I ran across a video by Alan Watts last night, or actually it was this morning. I don't remember. They all run together sometimes. But anyway, very recently. And one of the things that he talked about, well, first of all, if you don't know who Alan Watts is, he was a grand philosopher, in my opinion, a very metaphysical type philosopher. And he makes a lot of sense. And he looks at things in a lot of different ways. He's no longer with us anymore, but he really had some very profound things to say. And he had a really interesting way of saying them. But he was talking about some things that really got me thinking. And the topic was more along the lines of that life really does it need a purpose? Does it have to have a purpose? Is there a real purpose besides being alive? I mean, if you think about being alive, once again, I've talked about this a lot, the odds of us being born, just to be born, are astronomical. I mean, the numbers are so large, it's hard to even talk about the largeness of that number. The odds that you can actually be here, and then the odds that you are exactly like you are, is almost an endless or eternal string of zeros behind some constant numbers, like 1 or 10 to the power of 80 or something like that. I don't even know how big that number is, but I heard somebody talk about that the other day. So really, I mean, being alive is the purpose. I mean, why else are we here? Now, yes, sometimes we find ourselves in times of our life that seem boring and monotonous and, no real flavor to life. But, it's interesting because we tend to put purpose or reason or justification behind what our life should be, only to get to the end of our life, and what does it really matter? I mean, because let's just face it, we're all going to die someday. And really everything we put into life that seemed to be meaningful or purposeful or solid or a permanent type goal in our mind really in the end does not matter. I'm not suggesting that we all just sit around on the couch and do nothing. No. I think that in order to have more meaning in life, I do believe, though, you have to go and conquer some things. I think that's important because as human beings, it's just inherent within our consciousness, our subconsciousness, our psyche, our being, that we want to overcome things. And really, that really makes us a better human being. But the thing I think we got to really stray away from is being mindful that the moment that we live, in each moment that we live, is the real experience and the real goal. Because this moment of me talking right now is gone. And it was created, and now it's disintegrated. And so as we move along in life, it's almost like we are walking down a long hallway, and as we pass under lights, they turn on, and then as we pass those lights, they turn off. And so it's dark in the future, so to speak, where we're going, and it's dark in the past where we came from. And really the only thing we can see and experience is where we are right now. And so I think that we have to be careful of how we categorize why we are here. We were invited here to this play, to experience, to have the experience of life, to know what it's like to eat food, to have sex, to love, to hate, to do all these things that many souls will never have the experience at all. Like I said, the odds of being a human being is just astronomical. If we get to do it more than once, even more astronomical. I find myself, just like you guys, wondering why I do the things I do, why I put up with the things I do. Why is it that I find myself in the same types of circumstances, in the same patterns and the same ideas? And I can see it, and sometimes it's just one of those things that you have to kind of work through, because let's just face it, it's necessary to have a job, basically, and otherwise you will not have a place to live, car to drive, food to eat, money to take care of your family, kids, school, all these kind of things. And so it really becomes this really interesting balance, I think, in life, where it's almost like you have to live in multiple realms or worlds, I guess you'd say, or energies. Because I think if we get so busy with life and purpose and things in our life that we fill up our minds and our bodies and our consciousness with so much energy and so many things, and so much is happening that we are missing all the individual moments, and many things just pass right by us. I was talking to my daughter the last night, I guess it was, and she had recently had a dog pass away that she had for many, many, many years, and it really just hit her hard. But one of the things she said was that she found herself still in the same patterns that she'd had for years with this dog. Getting up in the morning, making sure the dog goes out, going off to physical training. She's in the Army like me, and coming back and then making sure the dog goes out, making sure the dog gets fed. All these things that just became routine. But she didn't realize that she was in such a pattern, which is not necessarily a bad thing to take care of the dog, right? The dog lived for 16 years, long time for a dog. So she obviously was doing something right. But the thing is that she said something that really struck me pretty hard. Is like, she says, I guess I was not living in the present. I was not being present in my life most of the time because I was just doing things so automatically, and I could not notice that until something dramatic changes, like the passing of her dog. And I think that does happen to us many times in life. I know it has happened to me many, many times, that if I am beginning to miss too many moments in my life, which is very easy to do in my job, because I worked like 14 hours straight yesterday. I didn't even get out of my chair. It was craziness. But we do miss a lot of the moments that we are meant to experience while we're here. If you look at things like trees and plants, they don't strive for purpose. They don't strive for some end goal. They don't plan how they're going to grow. They don't plan how the weather's going to be. They just do what's natural to them. Now, let's just face it. If we want to go out and just be natural and live off of nature and, just experience life, and, we're going to be one of those people standing on a corner hoping for some money, perhaps. So I get it. But the thing is, I think we're not looking at all sides of the equation. All sides of the equation should be considered when we're looking at life and how we would like to experience it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with finding yourself in a place, kind of like I was this morning or yesterday when I was thinking about the monotony of life and almost feeling like a lot of it was meaningless, which I know it's not, but we're human beings. We have our feelings and we have our thoughts, and we can't necessarily control that they show up. Nothingness actually is a more powerful tool than I think a lot of people understand, because without an empty void, you couldn't have a space to put wine in a bottle. Without an empty space, you couldn't have stars in the sky. Without empty space, you could not find a new place for water to flow into. There's a lot of benefits to nothingness, to just simply being and allowing things into your life. Because if we get so busy with things and we fill up all of our spaces in our life, there may not be any room for all the new things that are supposed to come in or that you would like to come into your life. We just get trapped. It's like a soul trap almost, where the trap is that we have to come in here and be profound and justify our life and come away with some meaning. And yes, I do think we're supposed to have experiences. There's milestones we're supposed to meet. I believe there's people we're supposed to interact with, perhaps many from previous lives or from future lives, or however that works. We're not here to debate that, but I do think that exists and it does happen in my experiences. And I do believe that we are meant to do certain things, and we do choose to come here and perhaps to experience something or to do something or to pay back something or experience the other side of the the challenge, that we were meeting somebody else on the other side of that challenge. It might have been a little difficult to say, but I think you know what I'm getting at. Life is truly a balancing act, because if we go hardcore one extreme in a certain direction and full bore, we can get anything we want. I guarantee you that's possible. That you can get anything you want out of life. But a lot of times what people find is that once they get to where they think they were striving for, or they get to where they were striving for, and then they get there and they're like, okay, well, now what? And a lot of people will get to those places, if they do, and then they'll rest on their laurels and their past achievements, and then they don't do anything else. I think life's about a number of hills to climb. I think that if we point ourselves in a direction, go do something, experience something, new job, new relationship, whatever, new skill, and go after that with all our might, and then see where it takes us. But realize in the back of our mind that this is not the ultimate goal or the ultimate end to what life is about, because there's so many things here to experience. I mean, I can't imagine that we could ever experience everything that this earth has to offer, or this place has to offer, or whatever is being introduced from other realms or other entities. We miss so many things in our life. And I'm guilty of it as well. As I've had people will come in and talk about something, something that may have been right in front of my face for a long time, and I've never even seen it. And, of course, our subconscious will blur out things that are not necessarily there to support what we're consistently thinking about or what we believe in. But the thing is, I think if we stop occasionally before we're forced to stop, and I do believe that we do get forced to stop because we're not getting out of our own way, but taking the time to stop, think about things, look at things a different way, research some things, talk to somebody we haven't talked to, try something new. I mean, I think that's what life's about. I think that we are here to learn as much as we can, experience as much as we can in the lifetime that we have, which is really not very long if you think about it. And if this is the only time around in our life, I think we need to really give it a go. I know many people that have gotten to their older age, even their deathbed or close to death, or in a hospital on the brink of death, that wonder where life has gone. Life has escaped them? What have they really done? What have they really accomplished? What have they really experienced? Very rarely when people are on their deathbed want to go back or come back to life or be back to health, just to have more jobs and more monies and more cars and all these things. And I don't think that's what really comes to mind for most people. It's like they look back at all the regrets of the things and the chances that they could have done or had or taken. And I think that's the case for most of us, because it's easy, really, if you think about it, to get in our comfort zone and just cruise along. And the next thing you know, we're retired. And the next thing you know, we're almost on our way out. And if you really look back, it seems like a blink of an eye. I'm 65 now. Had to sign up for Medicare. Fun times, right? And I'm not complaining about being older. We all want to live forever, but we don't want to get old. But we can't have both. And so that's okay, right? But, looking back at my life, it seems like it has gone by so fast. And it is amazing how many things that have happened to me in my life that seem so horrible, that seem so tremendously bad, that when I look back at it, were really more lessons and more growth in my life. And only in the moments of those times that I felt were bad were really the times that were bad. Those moments are there in my memories, but only in my memories, because once the past is gone, or once we move forward, those moments move into the past and they really don't exist anymore. So why are we worried about the past? And why are we really about the future? Because the future is not necessarily something that is guaranteed. Well, we know it's not guaranteed forever, but tomorrow is not necessarily guaranteed. I rode my motorcycle last night in the dark for the first time in a long time because of the time change. I didn't think about it, left the gym, and it was dark outside. I'm like, oh, not fun. It's a black motorcycle, and I was dressed all in black, and I'm like, this is not good, right? Somebody's not going to see me. And it was very, not fearful, but talk about riding cautious. And I remember sitting at a stoplight, and I was the first one, at the crosswalk, right in front of the light. And some thoughts came to me, which was, I don't know where it came from, but, me thinking throughout the whole ride that this could be very dangerous. The thought came to me very profoundly and very strongly. It said, good things and bad things happen to good people. Good things and bad things happen to bad people. Things just happen sometimes, and that's okay. And what was really interesting about that, the side note, is my validation from the other side, or from my spirit guides, whatever you believe in that guides you, but for me it's spirit guides. What I've agreed on is that when I'm getting validated on a thought or an idea or something I'm doing and I need validation, double rainbows is my thing. And it's not always rainbows. You probably heard me talk about this before, but I looked up at in the intersection, and one of the signs that was facing towards my right for the cars coming from my left had these two interesting prisms of light crossing through them. So in my mind, just like double rainbows, that's happened a lot in my life. It's not always been rainbows, but prisms are some way that represents double rainbows. And so I really had to ponder more on that thought, but that's not really what we're here to talk about. But the thing is, though, that is an interesting thought as well, because there is always things being presented to us, in my opinion, throughout our day, all day, every day. And I think that if we don't take the time, well, I know if we don't take the time to really pay attention to life, to pay attention to the things that are going around us, and to pay attention to all the signs that are there all over the place, we're going to be missing out a lot of what life is here to offer us. I believe that we are being fed information continuously, and you can take whatever belief system you want and bend it however you want, but I do believe that there is a conscious and consistent stream of information and signs and helpfulness coming from outside of ourselves. And that could be a lot of things. And I'm sure it's different for you than it is for me. But I think, and I will go as far to say as I know, that we are being given instructions for our life every second of our day. And if we could just learn to tune into those and quit being so damn busy, I'm talking about myself as well, and get back to the point of being here, of living and having life and experiencing life that many, many souls will never have. That is the goal. That is a real goal. And yes, we have to have balance. We have to have things to be in this world, but not of this world, as the Bible would say. Not, I kind of personified the Bible, but it was written in the Bible, rather. That we have to figure out how to balance necessity and our desires. Because having certain things to have a life, money, food, those kind of things, shelter, and then those things that we desire to have, fun times, relationships, we have to figure out what that balance looks like. Now, of course, if you're always balanced and you don't take any chances and you just kind of ride the wave, you may not experience as much as you should either. I don't know if I'm giving you guys a straight answer or direction, but I'm trying to kind of look at all sides of the coin, because I think that life is very, very complex, but very, very simple. It can be something that feels like a ride, and it feels like a wave if you allow it to take you where it needs to, while at the same time being responsible for what's been given to you. And I do believe that is also the key, because if we are responsible with the things we are given, or the things we have, the amount of money we have, the cars we have, relationships we have, all of those things, if we're putting our time into that and we're actually mentoring those things, or I don't know if mentoring is the right word, but investing is probably a better word, investing in those things and taking care of those, I think then we'll meet the measure of success enough for the universe or God or whatever you believe in to give us more. I mean, there's so many examples in religious writings about taking care of the things and the wealth you have in your life. And wealth could be a lot of things, not just money. But taking care of the abundance that you have in your life, whether you think it's abundance or not, will yield many times more of that. But if we don't experience things like we should and take care of the things like we should, I don't think those new experiences and those new things of abundance will show up like you think they should. Can we force them? We can. But when we force things, we miss things. When we force things, we become very one-sided and we become very narrow in the scope of our life. And I don't think, at least for me, that that's what life's about. I think experiencing lots of things, wide variety of things, different jobs, different relationships, different experiences, trying something new is really the cool thing, I think, in life. You know, taking chances is cool too, which becomes very difficult, especially in our times that we live in now, to step out of our so-called comfort zone in our jobs that we have, because they're very few to have. But sometimes we have to take those chances. Sometimes we have to do those things. I'm not telling you to go out there and jump out of the frying pan into the fire. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that if you pay more attention in life and you take care of the things that you're going to, more things will be realized in your life. More abundance will show up. More things and experiences will show up, and you'll be just completely amazed at what life can bring you. And so it is. All right, I am going to quit rambling. I guess I didn't really have a direction or a purpose in this conversation either. I just kind of wanted to do some streaming conversation, some thoughts as they just kind of roll through, which is kind of my style anyway. I don't really prepare these kind of things, but I do love life. I do love experiences. I like new things. Change is my favorite friend. I don't really flourish in steady state or continuously doing the same things all the time, over and over and over again. And it just feels like I'm becoming stale, and it's time to do something new. Fortunately, my life has been like riding a wave. I have allowed life to carry me, for the most part, throughout what I should be experiencing, and to allow the experiences to come in. And I've had so many cool opportunities and so many cool jobs and experiences, and people I've met and people I've worked with, people that have taught me. I've taught people, and that's what really makes what I do for my business so much fun, is because I get to interact with people, very, very interesting people, many way smarter than me, and I learn from them, they learn from me. So I do look forward to hearing from you guys when you get a chance. Take a look at my website when you get an opportunity. It's at lifebymazak.com. lifebymazak.com. Everything you need to know about me and what my wife does, all there on that website. Reach out to me when you get an opportunity, because, I love having conversations with people and learning new things, teaching people new things, helping people see things differently than they see them now, and hopefully get them to get out of their way so they can experience life to their fullest as well. Stay strong and live your life.